chosen ones. Something supernatural happened when they tried to come for you last night. While you were sleeping peacefully in your bed, completely unaware of the spiritual warfare raging around you, your enemies made their move. They sent their monitoring spirits, their dark whispers, their carefully crafted plots designed to bring you down. But instead of reaching you, instead of penetrating your defenses, they hit an invisible wall of ice that stopped them cold. Right now, at this very moment, there are people frozen mid-sentence trying to speak your name. Their tongues won't cooperate. The words get jumbled. The syllables come out wrong. Every time they attempt to pronounce your name with malice, something catches in their throat. This isn't coincidence. This isn't luck. You froze those enemies right in their tracks through a power you didn't even know you possessed. The prayer you whispered 3 nights ago, that declaration you made over your life last week, that moment when you spoke greatness over your name, it all created an energetic vibration that went out like ice cubes in the spirit realm. What I'm about to reveal will change how you see every blocked attack, every failed plot, every enemy who suddenly went silent. You're about to understand why certain people can't touch you anymore, why their plans keep falling apart, and why you've been walking through situations that should have destroyed you completely untouched. First, let me tell you about the Ice Queen energy you've been carrying without realizing it. There's a throne in the spirit realm with your name on it, and whether you know it or not, you've been wielding a wand of authority that freezes darkness in its tracks. Some of you have been doing this unconsciously. Others among you know exactly what happens when you pray, when you speak, when you decree and declare. But all of you have this gift, this ability to stop evil cold. Picture this scene happening right now across the spiritual landscape. A monitoring spirit approaches your home, sent on assignment to gather information, to find weaknesses, to report back on how to attack you. It crosses into your territory, confident in its mission, experienced in infiltration. But the moment it enters your spiritual atmosphere, something extraordinary happens. The spirit freezes mid-stride, unable to move forward or backward, trapped in the ice of your spiritual authority. It's like walking into a meat freezer unexpectedly, that shocking cold that takes your breath away and locks your muscles. Except this freeze doesn't wear off. This freeze holds until you release it. The same thing happened in the physical realm. There were people literally on their way to confront you, to bring drama to your doorstep, to execute plans they've been crafting for weeks. They got in their cars with full intention. They rehearsed what they would say. They pumped themselves up with rage and determination. But somehow, some way, they never made it to your door. Their car wouldn't start. Traffic blocked their path. Sudden obligations appeared out of nowhere. They got frozen right there in their tracks because you had already spoken protection over yourself. This is bigger than self-defense. This is offensive spiritual warfare, where you're not even present for the battle, yet you're winning every single time. The prayer warrior in you has been activated, whether you recognize it or not. Every word you speak carries weight in realms you cannot see with natural eyes. When you declared that no weapon formed against you would prosper, ice formed around every weapon. When you said that God would fight your battles, an army of freezing winds went forth on your behalf. Second, there's something you need to understand about the spectacle your protection has become. People are watching. Not just any people, specific individuals who know exactly what you're capable of spiritually. They've seen what happens to those who come against you. They've witnessed the aftermath of crossed boundaries and broken protocols. Some of them were in rooms when others tried to speak negatively about you and watched in amazement as those people literally choked on their words. Imagine sitting in a meeting where someone starts gossiping about you, building up momentum, getting others to lean in and listen. Then suddenly, right in the middle of their sentence, their voice cracks. They cough. They reach for water. The ice from their drink goes down wrong, and they're gasping for air. Everyone in that room knows what just happened. They exchange glances. They remember other times this occurred. Your name becomes associated with divine protection in their minds, even if they don't fully understand what they're witnessing. The spotlight on your abilities isn't something you sought out. You didn't wake up one day and decide to become known for supernatural protection, but here you are, recognized in the spirit realm as someone not to be trifled with. Your reputation precedes you now. Before anyone even thinks about coming against you, they remember the stories. They recall what happened to the last person who tried. They consider whether it's worth the risk of getting frozen. This recognition extends beyond your immediate circle. The world card has been activated in your life, meaning your influence and protection reach places you've never been. Someone could be plotting against you from another city, another state, even another country, and still get caught in your ice. Distance means nothing in the spirit realm. Your protective field has no geographical limitations. That person who thought they were safe to scheme from afar suddenly finds their plans crumbling, their resources freezing up, their co-conspirators backing out mysteriously. The journey of those who oppose you may end, but your adventure is just beginning. Every frozen enemy becomes a testimony to your spiritual authority. Every blocked attack adds another layer to your legend. You're becoming known as untouchable, not through your own boasting but through the visible evidence of what happens to those who test you. Third, let's talk about the divine exchange happening every time someone gets frozen by your spiritual ice. You're not stealing from anyone. You're not running some spiritual shakedown operation. But there's a transfer of power occurring that you need to understand. When enemies enter your realm with malicious intent, they automatically forfeit something. It's like a cosmic toll booth where the price of attacking you is their own spiritual energy. Think of it this way. You own an amusement park in the spirit realm. The sign at the entrance says pay to play, but most people don't read the fine print. They rush in thinking they'll vandalize your rides, sabotage your operations, steal your joy. What they don't realize is that the moment they cross your threshold with evil intent, the game is rigged in your favor. The house always wins. Their negative energy gets transmuted into positive power for you. This is why you've been experiencing unexpected abundance lately. Financial doors opening that shouldn't have opened, opportunities appearing from nowhere, resources manifesting when you needed them most. Every frozen enemy inadvertently contributed to your prosperity. Their intended curses became unintended blessings. Their plots to impoverish you actually enriched you. The Queen of Tokens energy is strong in your life. You're becoming financially abundant through spiritual warfare. You didn't even know you were winning. Some of you have noticed this pattern but couldn't explain it. Right after someone tried to sabotage you at work, you got a promotion. Immediately following a betrayal, a better opportunity presented itself. The moment someone spread lies about you, truth prevailed and elevated your status. This isn't karma in the traditional sense. This is divine justice with compound interest. This is the universe ensuring that not only are you protected, but you're also compensated for every attack attempted against you. You're building generational wealth through spiritual victories. The inheritance you're creating isn't just material, it's a legacy of protection, a bloodline blessing of untouchability. Your children and their children will walk in the authority you're establishing right now. They'll carry the same freezing power, the same divine immunity. You're not just saving yourself, you're securing your lineage. If this message hits your spirit, hype this video so more chosen ones like you can find it. Fourth, now comes the moment of choice that defines what kind of spiritual authority you'll wield. You have options when dealing with frozen enemies. This isn't a power to be used carelessly or vindictively. The variety of choices before you requires wisdom and discernment. Some of you are grappling with this right now. What do you do with an enemy who's been rendered powerless? You could go for complete spiritual execution. Send them to the abyss. Let them experience the full weight of divine justice. You have that authority. When someone comes against the anointed, they're not just fighting you, they're fighting the one who anointed you. You could speak a word and watch their entire house of cards collapse, their lies exposed, their schemes backfiring spectacularly, their reputation in ruins. This is within your power. Or you could choose the path of alchemical transformation. Take their negative energy and transmute it into something beautiful for your community. Use their intended destruction as fuel for construction. Build something magnificent from the ashes of their failed plots. This option requires more spiritual maturity, but yields greater long-term rewards. Instead of destroying your enemies, you transform them into unwitting benefactors of your purpose. There's also the option of strategic silence. Keep them frozen, but don't execute. Let them exist in that suspended state as a warning to others, like statues in your spiritual garden, monuments to what happens when someone crosses divine boundaries. They're alive but unable to harm. They're present but powerless. This creates a deterrent effect that protects you from future attacks without requiring constant spiritual warfare. Some of you have evidence that could destroy your enemies publicly. Videos, messages, documentation of their lies and schemes. You could expose them tomorrow if you wanted. You could clear your name and destroy theirs in one swift move. But power isn't about always using it. True authority knows when to strike and when to show mercy. The fact that you could end them but choose not to makes you even more powerful in the spiritual realm. Consider this carefully. Every frozen enemy is a choice point. Every paralyzed plot is an opportunity to demonstrate what kind of ruler you are in your spiritual kingdom. Will you be merciful or merciless? Will you seek restoration or retribution? The answer isn't the same for every situation. Some enemies need to be completely removed from your life. Others might be transformed into allies once they understand they cannot defeat you. Fifth, your name is traveling faster than you can imagine. In the next 7 days, communication about your spiritual authority will accelerate exponentially. Not gossip or slander. Those days are over. What's circulating now is reverence, recognition, and even fear. People are starting to piece together the pattern. They're connecting the dots between those who came against you and what happened to them afterward. This is your David and Goliath moment manifesting in real time. Before David killed Goliath, he was just a shepherd boy. Nobody outside his family knew his name. But one stone, one giant, one victory changed everything. Suddenly everyone knew David. His reputation spread throughout the land. Warriors who would have dismissed him now respected him. Enemies who would have attacked him now feared him. The same transformation is happening to you right now. One spiritual victory has triggered a cascade of recognition. That person you froze last week, others noticed. That plot you disbanded without even knowing about it, witnesses saw it crumble. That enemy who choked on your name, the story is spreading. You're becoming a spiritual celebrity overnight, not by your own design but by divine designation. The interesting thing about this spreading recognition is how it's creating entertainment for others. People actually enjoy watching what happens to those foolish enough to come against you. It's like spiritual theater where everyone knows the outcome except the antagonist. They watch someone approach you with ill intent, knowing full well what's about to happen, and they can barely contain their anticipation. Will it be ice down the throat? A frozen tongue? A complete inability to move forward with their plans? The variety of divine interventions has become fascinating to observe. Some people are even warning others now. Don't mess with them, they say. You don't know what you're dealing with. I've seen what happens. These aren't your friends necessarily. These are neutral observers who've witnessed enough to know better. They're spreading your reputation not out of loyalty, but out of wisdom. They recognize authentic spiritual power when they see it, and they know it's not something to challenge carelessly. Sixth, let's talk about the security system you didn't know was installed around your life. It's not just you freezing enemies. You have an entire spiritual security team, gatekeepers who screen every person trying to enter your space. These aren't angels you summoned or protectors you hired. These are divine appointments, spiritual bodyguards assigned to you because of who you're becoming. Picture Big Bruce at the gate of your spiritual property. He's massive, intimidating, absolutely loyal to you. Every enemy has to get past him first before they can even attempt to reach you. Most of them take one look at Big Bruce and reconsider their plans. The brave ones who try to push past him discover that he's not just for show. He has the authority to freeze, to bind, to completely neutralize threats before they materialize in your physical reality. But Big Bruce isn't working alone. There's an entire security detail surrounding you. Some are stationed at your workplace, freezing the tongues of those who would speak against you professionally. Others guard your relationships, preventing toxic people from getting close enough to poison your connections. Still others protect your finances, freezing the hands of those who would steal from you or sabotage your prosperity. The beautiful irony is that your enemies think they're just fighting you. They prepare for battle against one person, not realizing they're actually challenging an entire spiritual army. It's like someone planning to rob a house, not knowing it's actually a military base. They show up with their little schemes and find themselves facing forces they never imagined existed. The mismatch is almost comical if it weren't so serious. This security system operates whether you're awake or asleep, whether you're aware or oblivious. How many attacks have been frozen while you were going about your day, completely unaware of the danger? How many plots have been disbanded while you were sleeping peacefully? You'll never know the full extent of what you've been protected from. But occasionally you get glimpses. That person who suddenly stopped calling. That job that seemed certain then mysteriously fell through. That relationship that ended abruptly. These weren't random events. These were frozen threats being removed from your path. Seventh, the spiritual physics of what's happening needs to be understood. When you speak words of power, when you pray with authority, when you declare and decree, you're not just making sounds, you're releasing energetic vibrations that take physical form in the spiritual realm. Your words become ice cubes, actual frozen projectiles that strike their targets with precision. Think about the last time you prayed for protection. You might have been in your car, in your shower, lying in bed. You spoke words like, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper," or "God protect me from seen and unseen enemies." The moment those words left your lips, they transformed. They became spiritual ice, spreading out in all directions, creating a frozen perimeter around your life. Any enemy attempting to cross that perimeter gets instantly frozen. This isn't metaphorical. In the spiritual realm, this is as real as ice on a winter road. Your enemies literally cannot move forward with their plans. They try to take a step and find themselves stuck. They attempt to speak and their tongues won't cooperate. They reach for their phones to spread gossip and their fingers won't type. The ice you've created through your words has paralyzed their ability to harm you. Some of you have noticed this happening in real time. You're in a meeting and someone starts to say something negative about you, then suddenly stops mid-sentence, confused, unable to continue. You're on a call and hear someone in the background trying to pronounce your name to speak ill of you, but they keep getting it wrong, fumbling over syllables that should be simple. These aren't coincidences. These are your ice cubes at work. The more you speak life over yourself, the more ice you create. Every positive declaration adds another layer of frozen protection. Every prayer of authority reinforces the barrier. Your enemies are essentially trying to fight through an ever-thickening glacier. The longer they persist, the more frozen they become. Some of them are now completely encased, unable to move, speak, or even think clearly about you. 8. There's something shifting in the atmosphere around you. The overnight change some of you have been sensing is real. The spiritual climate has transformed. Where once there was opposition, now there's open space. Where once there were obstacles, now there's a clear path. The enemies who used to be so vocal have gone silent. The problems that seemed insurmountable have started dissolving. This shift isn't gradual. It's sudden, dramatic, undeniable. One day you're fighting battles on multiple fronts. The next day, the battlefield is quiet. Your enemies haven't retreated. They've been frozen in place. They're still there, but they're powerless. It's like walking through a museum of defeated foes, all perfectly preserved in ice, unable to harm you ever again. The star quality that's emerging in you isn't something you can hide anymore. You're shining too brightly. Your spiritual authority is too evident. People see you differently now. They approach you with a mixture of respect and caution. They recognize something powerful in you, even if they can't name it. You've become marked by divine favor in a way that's visible to both friends and enemies. This visibility might feel uncomfortable at first. You didn't ask to be a spiritual celebrity. You didn't want everyone knowing about your power. But this exposure serves a purpose. Your visibility is preventive protection. When potential enemies see what you're capable of, many choose not to engage. Your reputation becomes your first line of defense. Why freeze enemies when you can deter them from attacking in the first place? The grand adventure that awaits you requires this level of spiritual authority. The places you're going, the heights you're climbing, the impact you're destined to make, None of it would be possible if you were still vulnerable to every attack. The freezing power you've developed is preparation for your purpose. You needed to become untouchable before you could accomplish what's ahead. Ninth, let me tell you what your enemies didn't count on when they came for you. They thought they were dealing with an ordinary person. They based their attacks on natural calculations. They measured your apparent resources, your visible support system, your obvious defenses. What they failed to factor in was your spiritual backing, your divine immunity, your supernatural protection. The authenticity of your walk has granted you access to power they can't comprehend. While they were plotting in darkness, you were walking in light. While they were scheming in secret, you were living in truth. This authenticity created a spiritual force field that their darkness cannot penetrate. It's like they're trying to fight light with shadows. The moment they get close, they dissipate. Your enemies made another critical miscalculation. They thought your kindness was weakness. They interpreted your peace as passivity. They mistook your silence for surrender. What they didn't understand is that confidence doesn't need to be loud. True power doesn't need to advertise. You knew who was protecting you. You knew whose authority backed you. You didn't need to fight because the battle was already won. The spiritual security that stepped in to freeze your enemies did so because you belong to something greater. You're not just an individual. You're part of a divine plan. Attacking you is attacking that plan. Opposing you is opposing the one who called you. Your enemies thought they were picking a fight with you alone. They found themselves in conflict with forces beyond their comprehension. Some of your enemies are just now realizing their mistake. They're beginning to understand what they're really up against. The smart ones are backing away slowly, hoping to unfreeze themselves through retreat. Others are still frozen in their stubbornness, refusing to acknowledge what's obvious to everyone else. Either way, they can't touch you anymore. 10th, the entertainment value of your spiritual authority has become legendary in certain circles. People gather to share stories about what happened to those who crossed you. They trade tales like spiritual currency, each one more amazing than the last. Did you hear about the one who tried to curse them and ended up blessing them instead? What about the person who spread lies and then couldn't speak for 3 days? Remember when that group planned that ambush and they all got sick the night before? These aren't myths or exaggerations. These are documented spiritual events that people witnessed. Your protection has become so consistent, so dramatic, so undeniable, that it's entered into the realm of legend. You're becoming mythical in your own lifetime. The Ice Queen or Ice King energy isn't just a title, it's a recognized spiritual position that you've earned through divine appointment. But here's what makes this even more powerful. You don't have to do anything to maintain this reputation. You don't have to threaten anyone or make displays of power. Your very existence is enough. The ice cubes you've already released are still active, still freezing new threats as they arise. It's like you've set up an automatic spiritual defense system that operates independently of your conscious involvement. People love a good underdog story, and yours is the ultimate one. They saw you when you were under attack, when enemies surrounded you, when it looked like you might not make it. Now they see those same enemies frozen, powerless, defeated. The transformation is so dramatic that people can't help but be fascinated. You've become living proof that divine protection is real. The most entertaining part for observers is watching new enemies who don't know your reputation yet. These newcomers arrive with such confidence, such arrogance, completely unaware of what they're walking into. The audience watches with anticipation, knowing what's about to happen. It's like watching someone walk into a glass door they didn't see. The impact is sudden, shocking, and oddly satisfying to witness. 11th, as we approach the crescendo of this revelation, understand that Judgment Day has already arrived for your enemies. The authenticity of your spiritual walk has granted you access to realms they cannot enter. While they're stuck in their frozen state, you're moving freely through dimensions of blessing and favor. The contrast is stark and growing starker every day. Your enemy's judgment isn't waiting for some future date. It's happening now, in real time, as they experience the consequences of coming against the divinely protected. Every frozen tongue is a verdict. Every paralyzed plot is a sentence. Every failed attack is justice served. The spiritual court has ruled in your favor, and the enforcement is automatic. But here's the deeper truth about this judgment. It's not just punitive, it's protective of something bigger. You're carrying something precious, a destiny, a purpose, a calling that must be protected at all costs. The enemies being frozen aren't just your personal opponents, they're obstacles to divine plans. Their removal or neutralization is necessary for what's being birthed through you. The grand adventures that judgment has granted you access to are beyond what you previously imagined possible. Doors are opening that were previously locked. Opportunities are manifesting that seemed impossible. Relationships are forming that will accelerate your purpose. All of this is possible because your enemies have been frozen, unable to interfere with divine timing. 12th, as we complete this revelation, return to that image of you sleeping peacefully while spiritual warfare raged around you. You're still that person, unaware of most of the battles being fought on your behalf, but now you know the truth. Now you understand why certain people suddenly went quiet. Now you comprehend why certain plans fell apart. Now you recognize the Ice Queen or Ice King authority you've been walking in. The frozen enemies in your past are testimonies to your protection. The frozen enemies in your present are evidence of your current authority. The enemies who will freeze in your future are confirmation that this power is permanent. You don't have to earn it again. You don't have to prove yourself repeatedly. The spiritual ice you've created is self-sustaining, fed by your continual walk in authenticity and truth. Remember the people cheering in the background. They're still there, watching your rise, celebrating your victories, marveling at your protection. Some are friends, some are strangers, some are former enemies who now respect your power. All of them recognize what you represent, proof that divine protection is real, that spiritual authority is actual, that the chosen ones are indeed chosen. Your name will continue to travel, your reputation will keep spreading, your authority will keep growing, not because you're seeking fame or power, but because that's what happens when divine appointment meets spiritual activation. You've been marked, sealed, protected, and empowered. The ice cubes you release will continue freezing enemies you don't even know you have. So tonight, when you lay your head down to sleep, rest in perfect peace, knowing that your enemies are frozen right where they stand. They cannot move forward with their plans. They cannot speak curses over your life. They cannot touch what God has protected. You are the Ice Queen or Ice King of your realm, wielding frozen authority that stops darkness cold. The star that you've become isn't dimming anytime soon. If anything, it's growing brighter, attracting both moths and butterflies. The moths will freeze the moment they get too close. The butterflies will dance in your light, adding to the beauty of your rise. This is your reality now. Untouchable, unmovable, undefeatable. Every word you speak continues adding to your frozen arsenal. Every prayer reinforces your icy perimeter. Every declaration sends out more ice cubes into the spiritual realm. You don't have to see it to believe it. The evidence is in the silence of former attackers, the failure of plots against you, the frustration of enemies who cannot explain why they can't move forward. You are chosen. You are protected. You are walking in authority that freezes hell itself. Your enemies thought they knew who they were dealing with. They had no idea. Now they're frozen monuments to the truth that you don't come against the chosen ones without consequences. You don't plot against the anointed without getting caught in ice. This is your testimony. This is your truth. This is your time. Walk in it boldly, knowing that every step you take is protected, every word you speak carries authority, and every enemy who rises against you is already frozen before they even begin. You are the chosen one who froze those enemies right in their tracks, and that power isn't going anywhere. It's yours, permanent, unshakable, divine. The ice age of your enemies has begun. Your spring of prosperity is here. Welcome to your new reality, chosen one. Welcome to the realm where you reign supreme, where enemies freeze at the mention of your name, where protection is automatic and victory is assured. This is who you've always been. Now you finally know it. The depth of what's happening in your life right now extends beyond mere protection into complete spiritual dominance. Those frozen enemies aren't just stopped temporarily. They're experiencing a form of spiritual paralysis that affects every area of their existence. When they tried to touch you, the ice spread through their entire operation like frost on a window, starting from the point of contact and expanding until everything they built against you became brittle and shattered. Consider what happened last month when that person tried to sabotage your reputation. They gathered their allies, prepared their lies, created what they thought was an airtight plan to destroy your credibility. But the moment they opened their mouth to execute it, something extraordinary occurred. Not only did their tongue freeze, but everyone they had recruited to help them suddenly lost interest. Phone calls went unanswered, messages were left unread, meetings were mysteriously cancelled. The ice that froze the ringleader spread to freeze the entire conspiracy. This contagious freezing effect is something your enemies never anticipated. They thought they could attack you through proxies, using other people as weapons while keeping themselves at a safe distance. What they discovered instead is that anyone who partners with darkness against you gets caught in the same ice. It doesn't matter if they're the mastermind or just a messenger. Touching your anointing with evil intent triggers the same frozen consequence. The fascinating part is how this protection has been retroactive. Some of you are discovering that people who wronged you years ago are still frozen in certain aspects of their lives. They've been unable to progress past the point where they betrayed you. Their careers stalled, their relationships crumbled, their joy evaporated. They might not even connect it to what they did to you, but the spiritual ice that formed when they crossed you has been affecting them ever since. Meanwhile, you've been ascending. Every level they thought they could pull you down from, you've risen above. Every ceiling they tried to impose on you, you've shattered. The very obstacles they placed in your path became stepping stones to higher ground. This is the divine irony of attacking the chosen. The energy spent trying to harm you becomes the fuel for your elevation. There's a particular intensity to the freezing that happens when someone tries to attack your purpose. Regular enemies might get their tongues frozen or their plans disrupted, but those who specifically target your divine calling experience something far more severe. They find themselves in a spiritual blizzard where nothing works anymore. Their gifts malfunction, their connections dissolve, their resources dry up. It's as if the universe itself rises up to defend what God has ordained for your life. Some of you have witnessed this firsthand in your workplace. That colleague who tried to steal your ideas and present them as their own. Notice how they haven't had a single original thought since then. That supervisor who attempted to block your promotion. Observe how their own career has been frozen in place. That competitor who spread lies about your business. Watch how their enterprise has been unable to grow. These aren't coincidences. This is spiritual justice playing out in real time. The protection extends to your loved ones as well. Anyone under your spiritual covering receives a measure of this freezing protection. Your children walk through situations that should harm them, but emerge unscathed. Your family members find that those who would speak against them suddenly can't. Your inner circle discovers that attacks meant for them get frozen before impact. You've become a spiritual umbrella of protection, and everyone under it benefits from your Ice Queen or Ice King authority. But let's talk about the moments when you consciously wield this power. There have been times when you knew exactly what you were doing, when you stood up in spiritual authority and declared no more, when you pointed your spiritual wand and commanded the freezing to begin. In those moments you felt the power surge through you. You sensed the ice forming. You knew with absolute certainty that your enemies were being stopped cold. These conscious acts of spiritual warfare have been training grounds for your authority. Each time you deliberately freeze an attack, you grow stronger. Each time you speak with divine authority, your voice carries more weight in the spiritual realm. You're not just defending anymore, you're advancing, taking territory, establishing dominion in spaces where darkness once operated freely. The whispers about you have changed in nature entirely. Where once people whispered gossip and lies, now they whisper in awe and reverence. "Don't mess with them," has become the common refrain. They're protected by something powerful, others observe. "I've never seen anything like what happens to their enemies," witnesses testify. Your reputation has shifted from target to fortress, from victim to victor. Even the spiritual atmosphere responds to your presence now. You walk into a room where people were planning to gossip, and suddenly everyone goes quiet. You enter a space where negativity was brewing, and the energy shifts immediately. It's not that people are afraid of you personally, they're recognizing the authority you carry. They sense the ice that surrounds you, and their survival instincts kick in. Look, you already know the attacks weren't random, and if you're paying attention, you can feel it. Their walls are closing in. So let's talk about what we're doing about it. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve cooperative intelligence. The beauty is you don't even have to lift a finger. You put on the headphones, press play, and your subconscious is rewired while your enemies collapse under the weight of their own lies. This is why I created it in the beginning, so everything they did to break you becomes fuel for your purpose. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. The financial implications of this freezing power have been staggering. Every economic attack against you has been frozen and reversed. Those who tried to cheat you in business deals found their own assets frozen. Those who attempted to steal from you discovered they couldn't access what they took. Those who sought to impoverish you through manipulation watched their own wealth evaporate like ice in sunlight. The universe has been balancing the scales with mathematical precision. Your dreams have become prophetic warnings to your enemies. Some of them have reported having nightmares where they're trapped in ice, unable to move, unable to scream, just frozen in place while you walk past them unaffected. These aren't just dreams, they're spiritual experiences showing them the reality of what they're facing. A few have been wise enough to recognize these warnings and back away. Others persist in their foolishness and find the dreams becoming their waking reality. The generational impact of what's happening cannot be overstated. You're not just protecting yourself for this lifetime, you're establishing a spiritual dynasty of protection. Your children's children will tell stories about how their bloodline became untouchable. They'll carry the same freezing authority in their DNA, the same divine immunity in their spirit. Enemies will learn to recognize your family name and know better than to engage. There's also a restoration element to this freezing power that needs to be understood. Everything your enemies stole from you before this authority was activated is being restored. Relationships they destroyed are being rebuilt. Opportunities they blocked are returning multiplied. Joy they stole is flooding back with interest. The ice that freezes them is melting away the damage they caused, revealing the blessings that were always meant to be yours. Some of you are experiencing supernatural favor as a direct result of this dynamic. Doors that require years of networking to open are swinging wide for you instantly. People who never give anyone special treatment are bending their rules for you. Systems that are typically rigid become flexible in your presence. This isn't luck or coincidence. This is the universe compensating you for every frozen attack, rewarding you for every battle you didn't have to fight because your enemies were stopped cold. The spiritual intelligence network that surrounds you is more sophisticated than any earthly surveillance system. You have informants in the spirit realm, reporting back on plots before they're even fully formed. You receive warnings through dreams, through intuition, through seemingly random conversations that contain exactly the information you need. This intelligence allows you to freeze threats while they're still just thoughts in your enemies' minds. Let me tell you about the thawing that some of your frozen enemies are experiencing. But it's not what you think. They're not being released to attack again. Instead, they're being thawed just enough to realize what happened to them, to understand the magnitude of their mistake, to comprehend the power they challenged. This partial thawing is almost worse than being frozen, because now they're conscious of their powerlessness. They can see but not touch. They can think but not act. They can want but not have. The beauty of your position now is that you don't have to manage any of this actively. The freezing mechanism has become autonomous. Your spiritual security system runs itself. Your divine protection operates on autopilot. You can focus on your purpose, your growth, your joy, while the ice continues forming around any threat that emerges. You've graduated from spiritual warfare to spiritual dominance, from fighting battles to preventing wars. As we close this extended revelation, understand that what you've learned today is just the beginning. The freezing power you possess will continue evolving, becoming more refined, more precise, more powerful. New abilities will emerge, new levels of authority will be unlocked, new dimensions of protection will be revealed. You're not at the end of your spiritual journey, you're at the beginning of your spiritual reign. Walk forward knowing that every step is protected by ice that forms before your foot touches the ground. Speak boldly knowing that every word carries the authority to freeze darkness in its tracks. Live freely, knowing that every enemy who rises against you is already defeated before they begin. You are the chosen one who discovered their freezing power, and this revelation has changed everything. The ice age of your enemies is permanent. Your season of untouchable victory has just begun.